here to talk about getting powerful clarity into your brand on the Impact Brand Doctor podcast with Rich Kozak. I want you to check out these rich strategy nuggets that you can use right now. This is the Brand Doctor podcast with Rich Kozak. Here we positively uplift possibilities for your brand with straight talk you can trust. Does your brand need more clarity? Are you stuck at the starting gate to the next level of your brand? Bring your vision and your challenges right here to the Brand Doctor podcast. Today, we're lifting up the brand journey of Adrienne Tichy, founder of a new brand, Recovery Comes Home, future author of a book on resilience, overcoming huge medical challenges, and living life fully. She's a speaker to families that are affected by addiction and to recovery angels about what really works and what's really important. Adrienne Tichy, I love what you do, and I know that many of our listeners' businesses and their lives will benefit by what they hear today on the show. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. Privileged to be here, my friend.
You have 14 years of deep experience owning and running addiction recovery residences, actually creating a model for the industry with your lodge at Delray Beach. And you've served at the front line, witnessing and learning what addiction recovery looks like. Now you are creating this next level as a new brand called Recovery Comes Home. How does this next level differ from that recovery residence approach where they're away from home and it's not private? How does it differ? Is it actually at home and private? I mean,
yes, there's definitely a higher level of privacy and anonymity because it is at home. And the recovery at home can happen with their families, together with their families.
All right, I got it. That's huge. What did your team learn on the front line that convinced you to make this higher level available?
There just was there was a need in the industry. A lot of people couldn't go to a recovery residence, and they needed a higher level of privacy. And they just couldn't take that period of life and just go to a group home. So we had to bring the home to them and the program to them.
How confident are you that this approach, with the family and private might increase the addict's probability of success?
I see that it definitely increases the probability of success for so many of our clients.
All right. Okay. So we're going to get to the branding. What is your vision of the impacts you clearly see having on these individuals and these families when your brand Recovery Comes Home is well understood and is thriving?
Well, I see that that the relationships are restored. The addicts are reintegrated back into the community, living a passionate life they love. And number 3, they're alive. They are here getting to experience this wonderful world that we have.
I love your vision of the impact. So let's talk about branding. What is challenging you when you think about branding Recovery Comes Home?
Honestly, the social media is really overwhelming me. I've got all of these people telling me that I should make a social media marketing calendar and I should post on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and giving me ratios about how many I need to post to sell and how many I just need to post to engage. I just help. Help me.
Let me do an echo check on that. So social media is overwhelming and you're being told about how you have to post, and knowing you, I'm doubting that you want to become the expert in that. You have your hands full already. So may I tell you a story?
Absolutely.
The day that I read Dan Kennedy's book, The No BS Guide to Direct Response Social Media Marketing, that he wrote with Kim Walsh Phillips, whose agency helps companies make money with social media, not just be on social media. I got a new mindset. Dan says, if you're going to use social media, he thinks social media is a scourge of the industry. It's and he wishes it didn't exist, but you have to use it because that's where everybody is. So he says, if you're going to use social media, don't do it for likes, do it for dollars. That's the new mindset. It eliminates that whole pablum using other people's quotes, all that gobbledygook that doesn't mean anything, that doesn't position a brand, that doesn't create engagement, that doesn't get them on the path to learn you, like, know what you like and buy what you have. It just sucks up time and money.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the new mindset. And so here's a strategy nugget. Social media is only one type of media. There are other media. And here's the strategy nugget. So listen, everybody, select and use only media that reaches your target audience with a proven path to conversion. Media is a marketing execution decision, and that's it. It's not required. It's not something you have to do. It only makes sense if it's strategically smart. So here's your action item. Write this down. Match each target audience to a medium, that's singular for media is plural, to a medium that reaches and engages them effectively. That'll make you more effective and you won't be wasting money or time. The second point is, when you graduate from organic postings to paid advertising, you have a lot more opportunities to really rifle target whom you're after, because you get to select those demographics, psychographics, or life situational graphics that are your target audience, your best client, and only reach them. That's when you're paying for it. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's go backwards for a second. And I want to ask you, you mentioned to me when we were talking before, didn't you say something like, one of the things that was challenging, it was the brand is like a person, and, it has a void.
Yeah. The brand. So when we were talking, you were describing the brand, and I stopped for a minute, and in my head I heard, oh, okay, so the brand is like a person, right?
Yeah.
And how do I give it personality and voice?
Okay,
That's
a super question. So, and that is a challenge, and it's a challenge to many people. If you're listening right now, you probably have some aspect of that challenge, or it's right on one of the things you're thinking. How do I give my brand its personality, its voice? Let's take it beyond that. It's messaging. It's all those things. So here's the helpful foundational response as a starter kit. A brand is a perception, but it's not your perception. It's others' perception of the brand. So branding is shaping that perception with consistent language and imagery on a first impression basis. You get one shot at a first impression. So shaping perception requires language, particularly on the internet. It's very, very language based. And you create a perception. So if you are good at branding, you are good at shaping a consistent perception that moves your brand strategically where it needs to move for you to be successful, for you to make your impacts on those people whose lives you want to impact. So may I tell you a story?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story and then lead you into another strategy nugget and an action item, everybody. So when one of my sons was just getting his driver's license, actually he was, a young driver, and he got a traffic ticket requiring to go to traffic school. And I'm on the phone with these people. I expected one thing. What I got, I was pleasantly surprised by how this company treated me and responded to me. If I had to write down, the characteristics that they displayed in that phone call,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to write kind, understanding, gracious, a second chance. They talked about, they were upbeat about sex. They were helpful. They explained. They clearly set my expectations of what would happen and how the class was. They were positive. Here's the lesson. Those characteristics, that their behavior, in that case, my phone call with them was my entry portal to their brand. It was the first time I touched their brand. And those characteristics that I just bullet pointed were my first impression of their brand.
Wow.
Your brand creates first impression characteristics as well. And it's not trickery. You don't trick people to think you're kind. If you're
No.
kind, it's your opportunity to get credit for it. So here's the way this works. Here's the rich strategy nugget. The impacts that you envision your brand making, and Adrian, we could go back to those impacts you listed, family relations improve, the impact, right? Those impacts require your brand to get credit for certain characteristics that are necessary for you to make those impacts. Must you be kind? Must you be teaching? Must you be technology centric? Must you be visionary? Must you be uplifting? What characteristics must your brand be to make those impacts? Action. Write this down. I want you to do the love letter exercise. Just like my love letter to that traffic school would have said, dear sirs, if I just put it in bullet point, dear sirs, these are the characteristics that you showed me when I was on the phone with you. Kind, understanding, but just bullet point. What characteristics must be in the love letter that people write to your brand? I want you to think about it. It will help you move forward in the way you create first impression. And look, there's a process, and it's called the 7 steps of impact-driven branding. And I teach it all the time. You'll hear a lot more about it here on the Brand Doctor podcast, but it is just one of the simple steps of doing branding the right way. So I'm glad you heard it here first, and I hope you take action on it. In this episode of the Brand Doctor, we have lifted up the brand journey of Adrienne Tichy. She's the founder of this new brand, Recovery Comes Home. And I'm going to say, praise God. She speaks to families affected by addiction, and she speaks to recovery angels about what really works and what's really important. You gained insight into giving a brand its voice by defining its characteristics that it must become to make its impacts that it envisions on people. You also got insight on reframing how you think about social media and any media as simply a media selection decision of marketing that gets to match your target audiences to a medium that creates an effective engagement and conversion for your brand. You'll get contact information for our guest today in the show notes, so you can take advantage of all her brand has to offer and share it with others that need to hear about it. And even more information is available by emailing us directly to our email address, rich@richbrands.org. I want you to remember the Brand Doctor podcast is dedicated to bring you strategies and actions to take your brand to its next level. So from our heart to yours, we encourage you to subscribe to the Brand Doctor podcast and check out other episodes for the strategy nugget and action items you can take right now. We'll speak with you again on our next episode. And remember, now is the time to define the brand you will become. Thanks for being here.